like our camp, I can bring a Sawzall and a four-wheeler and call them into where we can get the four-wheeler to them, and I'll bring out the backbone hole and cut like inch and a half thick T-bone steaks. I can get like about 26 of them out of a bowl. So
26 out of a bowl.
it's hard to say that that's not my
just
favorite.
excited he said he could pull the quad up to the fucking moose.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Gator don't play no shit when it comes to packing moose around.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us today on this session. I understand that your urges have been increasing dramatically when it comes to shooting and killing things. Some may say it's comparable to Joe Biden's urges to fondle the little ones. Canoodle them, that is. Rest assured, because today we embark into the world of shooting and hunting. Joining us now, Jake Mushaney and Ryan Avery.
We have Tyler Freel on the show. Tyler, you write for Outdoor Life. What else do you do? Because Jake asked me before we started, well, what's he do for a living? I was like, I have no fucking idea what Tyler does for a living. So Tyler, what the fuck do you do for a living?
That is actually my living. I'm on staff with Outdoor Life. Staff writer is my title. I was kind of a freelance contract writer for them for many years. Since 2011, I think it was when that started. And I just managed to stick around long enough to end up getting offered a job, and I was smart enough to take it. So it's pretty awesome. I get to shoot and hunt. It's a job that facilitates the lifestyle I want to have, I guess I could say.
You also write some very I would say on the edge articles. Do you get much pushback from Outdoor Life? I know you do from the members and the subscribers, but from the actual staff of Outdoor Life, do you get a little pushback?
No, man, not at all. Like I work real closely with our shooting editor, John Snow, and we're pretty much on the same page with a lot of this stuff. And basically, if the stuff is legit and I can hash it out and have data to support it, I get basically no pushback. So it's a really good working environment. I can work on the things I want to work on, and just I like being a little, well, I kind of like pushing people's buttons a little bit about things that I don't know, that are maybe a little edgy, but not just for the sake of doing that. There's a lot of stuff from the amount I've been able to shoot and just the amount I've learned over the years that, I'll stand behind the stuff I write. And there's a lot of stupid stuff and a lot of less than brilliant ideas and a lot of old ideas that are floating around that, if I come to discover that I've been doing things the wrong way or not the best way, or there's, I don't know, like a better way of doing things. For example, I have no problem. I feel almost obligated to spread the word, even, and yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of retarded. I can't talk, but that's it in a nutshell.
Well, you have a big platform that you can speak to, so you just feel obligated to spread the truth, basically.
Yeah. I'm interested in the stuff. It's like, it's really, I get excited about it, and I like nerding out about some of the stuff. And, through doing that, you see some of the fallacy and like a lot of the FUD lore type stuff that, you really like. There's a lot of things that I don't even know where I'm going with that, but yes, there's a lot of stuff that I do not mind challenging, and I think it's kind of entertaining to challenge, and ultimately helps me learn, and I think helps make me a more effective hunter too.
Yeah, on the rock slide and shoot to hunt side, we're kind of like what I would say pulling back and getting a view into the seedy underbelly of the hunting industry because there's a lot of pay to play and there's a lot of FUD
Oh yeah.
lore. Yeah, there is. There's a lot of FUD lore that my grandpappy did this, so this must be true. Or on the other side is the reason this article happened is because that particular company that I'm reviewing their product paid for it to happen. So I have to say good
Yep.
things about them. And it's creating a lot of, like you said, fallacies and really a whole lot of bullshit. So what I respect about you, Tyler, is you're like your 3-shot group shooting the bear with a 6.5 Creedmoor we'll get into, shooting a fucking bear with a stone tip. Like, I don't know anybody that's done that, but you're also not shying away from the controversy. You were like, this is what I did. Here the fuck I am. Tell me why I'm right or wrong. And I love watching some of your arguments online.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, man. I'm glad there are some people out there who do. And I know there's more people probably appreciate it than people that like to talk shit. There's just always going to be those people. And it's somewhat entertaining to mess with them. But yeah, if I can get a little bit of that and learn and do stuff better myself, I'm all for it. And they're frankly like as long as I've been in this industry, I'm still like, it's like a peek behind the curtain. You see like, yeah, it's not quite what you always thought it was when you were a kid growing up. And there is a lot, like you said, a lot of pay to play stuff. Oh, we're not going to cover this gun because they didn't run an ad schedule with us type of thing, which does not exist at Outdoor Life. Like a lot of our reviews and especially our gun test stuff has probably cost us more advertising money and pissed more people off than than it's ever gained us in money. Advertise like we do sell ads, like there's nothing to hide behind there, but yeah, I've pretty much always been strictly directed, like you do honest work and like you present the facts and that's what it is.
Yeah, it shows through in like your authenticity. I got a question I want to bring up because rock slide, I'm a big gear guy. You may have one of the greatest rants on rain gear of all time on a podcast a few years back. But you also
Oh,
the thing that I thought was the funniest is the pretense was you also had a tent fucking get destroyed on you in the same that actually caused the rain gear failure because you fucking had to walk
yeah.
up the mountain. Will you tell that story briefly? Like, you tell you what happened so Jake can catch up to that because it's a pretty
Yeah,
good story.
so well, in like a brief background, I mean, I probably had been sheep hunting for 15 years at that point, and my uncles and like sheep hunting mentors had always told me like, don't trust breathable rain gear. Like it will soak through, and my uncle about died one time in the early days of Gore-Tex from a pretty bad event. But, I was always like a Helly Hansen or like Grundon's, as
PVC
light
type.
as I could get, but PVC type rain gear. And, cause ultimately it's a piece of survival equipment. Like it's for your comfort too, but it's survival gear. Anyway, I was sheep hunting by myself and had been hunting for a few days, actually trying to kill this ram with my recurve. And one night, and I was not camped in a good spot. There wasn't really anywhere aside from dropping down 1,500 feet that I could camp in a great spot. But I was in kind of the back edge of a saddle and just had probably the worst storm I've ever seen or experienced sheep hunting blow in that night, and the wind just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And um had that tent. It was an MSR hub, and I had that tent. It was the old design with the aluminum poles. I'd had that tent in some really bad weather, like folded it on the end and like kind of knew some hacks to supporting it and reinforcing it, but it was getting worse and worse and worse. And so middle of the night, I'm out like in my underwear and my rain gear, grabbing rocks, trying to build a windbreak and reinforcing guy lines. And it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. A guy line had worn on a rock and snapped. So I was out there trying to fix it. And then everything went dead quiet. for like 10 seconds. And I'm like, oh shit, this is not going to be good. And then when the next gust hit, that tent just flattened. And there definitely is, maybe I could have been more critical of the tent, but I was asking a lot of that tent. And ironically, that storm, the same night, I don't know that it was statewide, but I had a buddy buddies in two different mountain ranges that afterwards talking about that night, like they like almost lost their asses. And I was in a really bad spot. So anyway, when the tent went down, I crawled under it. I guess it's like, well, I guess I'm walking out of here now. Packed all my shit and I put my phone in my zipper pocket in my rain gear. It was a Sitka Stormfront, which I don't think they even make anymore. And put my GPS in a Ziploc in my cargo pocket. I got everything in my pack, just threw a couple rocks on the tent, and I ended up going back and getting it like a week later. But had to march out of there in the pitch black. Like I'd be just guessing how hard the wind was blowing, but it was blowing from my left, and I'd have to stop and brace myself during the gusts, and then scurry ahead. When it let up, and I don't know, maybe like a mile and a half, 2 miles, I don't know, of ridge line running I had to do in the dark before I could drop down and get a little bit out of it. But within 30 minutes, my long story short, water was just like running down my body, filling up my boots with water. Initially, I thought, oh, it's just cold because I just had my skivvies on underneath. But no, it was water like shooting through my rain gear and filled up my boots. And I got back to my four-wheeler after like hours and stripped down and was going to put my like Kafaru puffy stuff on to warm back up because I still had a couple 3-hour ride out. And I unzip my chest pocket and water just spills out of there. And I had thought I forgot to mention I'd put my phone in what I thought was a little like Sea to Summit dry sack, and it apparently had a couple holes in it because my phone was toast. But I was a little angry by the time I got home. It was the first year I'd finally been like, or the second year that I was like, all right, I'll give this breathable stuff a chance. And the year before I wore it for like an hour on that hunt. And then this hunt, it pretty rapidly went to shit on me.
Yeah, it was still the rant at the time when he was good and pissed. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was like the day after I got back.
Did you ever get a solid answer from Sitka on what the fuck happened?
No, of course not. I mean, I sent it back and they sent me a new pair and I sold it to someone who like wanted to have their buddy die or something. But that's, I mean, like granted, I'm a little abrasive on that topic, but like the stuff does work really well most of the time, but that time, like it could have gone really bad. Like I was running out of layers of protection for like my survival, and that rain gear is a pretty freaking important one if you get stuck in a situation like that. So I'm back to wearing non-breathable stuff. Like I'll slow down and thermoregulate, but like I'm
What have you figured out? What's your best PVC layer? What are you using?
I really like two from Grundens. I like the Grundens Neptune is a nice, like it's a little bit heavier, but it seems to last way longer than the Helly Hansen Improtect stuff, and it's pretty durable. The last couple years, I've been taking the Grundens Tourney, which is like a fishing, like kind of like a sport fishing rain gear. It's a lot thinner and it is more fragile. Like you would want to be real careful about busting through the brush or anything, but it is really lightweight and keeps the water out well. So I don't really give a shit on colors or anything like that. So I'm wearing like a blue jacket, but that those are my two go-tos now. And there's like a couple companies I've talked to that are like have some plans for one in particular is working on developing some, but that has not really fruition yet.
Are you still using the Kafaru pack or are you using something different?
Yeah, I'm still using the Kafaru, man. I still using the duplex light frame and the the Muskeg 7500, I think, is the bag I still have. I mean, like, if it ain't broke, I'm, they like some of the newer stuff is nice too, but honestly, like I don't have the time to keep up with all that stuff when what I've got's working just fine. And I've been using that bag and frame for probably like 5 years now, 6 years, and I love it, man. It's great.
Yeah, it's a good bag. So on the tent wise, do you think if you're using, like a Hilleberg or something different, it would have had a different outcome, or is it pretty much all tents were going to get pretty fucked up in that wind?
Yeah, I mean, maybe if I had my 10-pound like 4-season REI mountaineering tent that I got like bought years and years ago, or like a hut, or like maybe some of the Hilleberg like super heavy duty tents would have been fine. But it could have been really bad either way. And that storm ended up not like letting up for several days. So it certainly could have maybe not unfolded like that, but I have a feeling that I would have had to hike out of there in the dump and blowing rain one way or another. I only had like 3 days of food left. It was kind of a short trip anyway, but
interesting. All those sheep behind you, pretty much same rifle, E270 Jack O'Connor guy, or what?
No, I've never killed a sheep with a 270. Actually, I have kind of liked messing with different rifles over the year. The first one I ever killed was with a Remington 710 30-06. That was the first rifle I ever saved up and bought when I was 14 or 15. And then I killed a bunch with a Remington 700 and 25-06. I really like that one. And then after that, yeah. So actually, when it was the first hunting rifle that came out in 6.5 Creedmoor in like 2011 or 2012, one of the very first the Ruger M77, because I was shooting competitively, like high power, when that cartridge was introduced, and that circle was talking about it. So I knew about it, and then thought that would probably make a pretty good cheap rifle. And so when I saw that first Ruger came out with one of those first production hunting rifles in it, I snapped one up and shot a couple sheep with that and some deer. And then I think I ended up selling it and I had a custom Remington 700 that's a 280 improved neck down to 270. So I guess I have killed some sheep with a 270, not a 270 Winchester, but right. Like I said, I'm a little I ride the short bus, but yeah. Well, after that, and then I kind of got back into shooting a 6.5 Creedmoor just because everyone hates it so much.
That's true. That is so true.
So I've killed a pile of sheep with a 6.5 Creedmoor. Killed one with a 6.5 Weatherby RPM. I think that's pretty much it. So a pretty good mix of rifles.
Have you shot one of the recurve yet?
No, I have not. And it's not going to be this year either.
It's fucking got to be tough. I've never hunted sheep, but it's got to be tough.
Yeah. Yeah. It's difficult. I mean, there's a few guys that are really good at it that are just sneaky bastards and very, very patient, and good for those guys.
Wait,
I said, someday I may try it again, but I was just gonna say someday I may try it again, but yeah, we'll see. Especially like sheep populations got knocked down a couple of years ago. We had a couple bad winters, and yeah, I like blasting stuff with a rifle too. So, I think a key to like really doing well, like sheep hunting with a trad bow, would be to be an area where you can get a lot of stocks. And it's right now, especially not that easy to get a lot of stocks when you may find one or two rams in an entire 10-day hunt that you want to try to kill.
Enhance your shooting experience with STOCKY'S stocks. Are you tired of struggling with mediocre rifle stocks that hinder your performance? Imagine having a high-quality rifle stock that not only enhances your accuracy, but also provides superior strength in a lightweight build. STOCKY'S Stocks offers a wide range of premium rifle stocks manufactured with hand layup carbon fiber construction, a patented carbon fiber AccuBlock, and multiple finish options. Whether you're a long-range shooter or a hunting enthusiast, our stocks are perfect for you. Experience unmatched precision and durability with STOCKY'S stocks. We provide stock installation instructions, technical support, and guidance to help you choose the right stock for your rifle. Upgrade your shooting game today with STOCKY'S stocks.
And you're a lot like Drake. You guys are big, tall guys who are like, oh, look at that big, tall fucker trying to chase me down. The big fucking moving tree over there.
Yeah.
Not exactly a set of car keys hiding behind a rock.
Yeah. That doesn't look natural.
No, goddamn Frankenstein over there trying to put a sneak on me.
Oh yeah.
And I was checking out your Instagram a little bit. So you're shooting a 7 PRC with a 160 CX right now. What rifle are you shooting, and were you doing load development there?
That was they actually just announced it today that Springfield Waypoint 2020, they just released a long action version. So I've had that rifle for a month or so, and it seems to shoot pretty well, especially if you keep in mind like this whole, like how we define, and we've been writing about this and trying to really recalibrate like how we think about rifle accuracy and like what's acceptable and what to really expect, because Springfield throws, like everybody throws, they throw a 3/4 minute guarantee, which, I mean, all those things are basically meaningless because, you get good ammo, like you can shoot those good groups. I don't know where I'm going with that, but the rifle does shoot pretty well. Like, just the factory 160 Hornady CX loads, you get a lot of sub 3/4 minute 3-shot groups, but it's about a 1.5 to 1.7 gun with that load. If you count for like a whole, 20 shot group. And the ELD match stuff did not shoot very well in at the 180s. And I've done a little bit of load development. I say load development, just kind of doing some testers, and with 190 A tips with Retumbo shoot really well out of that. Overall on a 20 shot sample, I'm getting like probably a 1.4 inch overall extreme spread, but the majority, like that outer limit of the dispersion's pretty light, so it's a perfectly acceptable shooting rifle. And it's good. I mean, it's nice to shoot. It's nice to shoot like a wide variety of stuff, I find, because you really get recalibrated and tuned into what you get to recognize what a really, really good shooting rifle is.
Mm-hmm.
What's the speed on those 190s?
Let me see. It was I actually have it in my little app. It was 2786. But that I just kind of picked a load. Like if I want to pursue that one more, I'll probably bump it up. I just backed off. Hornady doesn't have any data for the Retumbo yet because they didn't have any when they worked that up. And then Hodgdon, I think, had like a 195 burger listed. So I just backed a couple grains off of Max to do a tester. And it seems like, I mean, I did a bunch of testing this spring with 3 different calibers. So I wasn't just like only regurgitating what the Hornady guys had said, but I tested like found my velocity nodes and OCW test nodes with different charge weights, and then just shot large samples at charge weights from like book minimum to book maximum, and basically found the accuracy doesn't change really at all. So that's kind of my method for seeing if the gun will shoot that powder and bullet. And with Retumbo and those 190 A tips, like that gun will shoot them pretty well.
Yeah, the node thing is interesting. There's a lot of bullshittery in those nodes.
Was that new rifle there? Was that part of this 2024 gun test that you guys finished, or what else? What other rifles did you guys test in that?
No, that one wasn't, because the release date was a little bit later. But we had some awesome rifles in that test. We had a Socko 90S Adventure that was just like a really, really impressive, more traditional styled hunting rifle, like really nice magazine design, really accurate. I couldn't really find anything to complain about with that gun. We had one of the Browning X-Bolt 2s that I still have in my safe here with the preferred, I think it's a 20-inch preferred barrel and 6.5 Creed with Macmillan Game Warden stock. on it, and that's a pretty light gun. It's like naked, it's sub 6 pounds, and I've shot the shit out of that gun, and it is really, really accurate. So we had that one was a standout. We had that Bergara MG Micro Light in the XLR chassis, that little shorty chassis, and that gun shot really well. In the past couple of years, the Bergaras have kind of been like, nothing sandwiches, but this gun shot really well, and and the XLR like feels all right to get behind. Like, it probably wasn't my favorite folder. We had that Seekin Slam, that Havoc Slam. That's a beautiful rifle too, and their kind of folding stock design feels really, so it doesn't feel like a light rifle when you get behind it. So I really like the design of that. That one shot pretty well, and it goes back to the whole like 3-shot, 5-shot stuff. Thin barrel. It shot well, shot perfectly adequately for any hunting thing, but trying to recalibrate people's opinion, the way people think about that, as I'm sure is kind of difficult, because I even shot a series of 3-shot group. I think 21 shots with 3-shot groups, like letting the barrel cool between, and you shoot 5 half-inch groups in a row, but you overlay all those groups, and it's like 1.3, 1.4.
That was a great article, by the way.
So thanks. So but that was another standout. We had a bunch of freaking guns. We had a bunch of 22s.
Were there any just pieces of shit? You can tell us. We won't tell anybody.
Yeah. Well, no, we had there was one rifle that broke a bolt handle before we ever shot it. And then I was kind of disappointed in how that Christensen modern hunting rifle shot. Probably the last 6 or 7 of those that I've shot, or not that particular model, but the last 6 or 7 Christians I've shot have all been like really good performers. So I was kind of disappointed to see that. There weren't any real dogs though that that Colt CBX, that one was kind of a dog actually. It did not shoot very well, and it was not very much fun to shoot. But interestingly, that SIG Cross Tracks, like super minimalist one, that thing was not fun to shoot off a belly. It shot okay, but once we started goofing around, like shooting off supported positions and standing off a tripod, that actually became a pretty fun gun to shoot. So that was kind of interesting, I thought too.
Going back to you're talking about CX and the outfitter line and the match line. I've never seen, if it likes one, it hates the other. I've never seen a rifle like both of them. And most of the time they hate that all copper bullet. We've seen some really, like we just had a Browning that shot, was it 5-inch group, 6-inch group with the CX outfitter line. That
box ammo.
Yeah. And then turned around and shot basically about a 1 MOA, 1-shot or 10-shot group with the match. And I've seen that hand in hand. It either likes the CX copper or it likes the match, and never both.
That's interesting, because this was probably the first outfitter load that the CX load, factory load, that actually shot well for me. I tried it, shot it in 270, 30-06, 308, 6.5, observed one in 375 Ruger, and maybe another one that I'm missing, 300 Win Mag, that just like the shit just would not shoot. Unacceptably bad. And, but I had never thought of like comparing how the ELD match bullets and the CX bullets, or those two loads, if it might like one over the other. The velocity numbers were fine. The CX load was a little faster than box velocity, and the match one was a little slower than box velocity, but they both had like good 14, out of larger samples, good like 14 feet per second SDs, so like pretty normal for good factory ammo. But yeah, it did not like the match load.
Well, when you're ready to get a real rifle up there and do some testing, we do have rock stock and Tika options, bat machine options for actions, all kinds of good shit. But when you want to feel something that can mitigate recoil really well and maintain your sight picture when you're killing those bears, we can put something together for you.
Well, I'm your Huckleberry man. I would love to try. Look, yeah, the more I've been eyeballing that rock stock, and I really like the looks of that. And I was already trying to put together. I was telling Ryan about this. So yes, trying to put together a lightweight, like 18 or 20-inch barreled build for a sheep to take sheep hunting this year, and maybe moose hunting too. And looks like that one's
What
falling
cartridge are you
through.
looking for that?
Either 6.5 Creed or 6 Creed. I'm almost leaning towards 6 Creed now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
whack some stuff with this ELDM.
That's why I like the guy.
So yeah, Ryan ain't talked you into the 115 nose ring DTAC yet then?
No, he hasn't talked me into that yet. But like, honestly, I hadn't talked to Ryan in forever, like a couple of years. And then my buddy Ruben the other day sent me like one of your guys' episodes. It was the one with the Trump intro, which was hilarious. And I was like, I felt retarded. I texted Ryan immediately. I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I had no idea you were up to this. I just can't keep up with everything. And so it rekindled our friendship a little bit there, I guess.
Nice.
That sounds kind of gay.
We sat around the campfire.
Well,
this echo,
you do have your
echo is
reputation.
fucking with me so bad.
This will be a funny podcast because this echo is like, it's almost like we're floating on a cloud.
Yes.
And we're talking to you, and there's a delay, so it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. Hey, but when on a serious note, when you're ready, I don't want to put your nose to the fire, but we are finishing up a certain rifle for a certain other magazine called Guns and Ammo in a rock stock. So maybe you want to beat them to the punch a little bit, but we can put something together for you for sure.
Oh, you must run a pretty good ad campaign with them, huh?
It's rock slide, man. It didn't take much. I have
people run a pretty good ad campaign with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how that works, because it's like I'm seeing the flip side of it. Like, I've been on the rock slides side for so long, I don't think about pay to play. And then now talking to other people about the rock stock, and then there's like this weird part, and then somebody says, well, I would do it for this. And I'm like, nah, that's not really how I want to play this out. I don't want you to be paid to say good things. So it's a thick and slippery slope too, but it's like how the game is played outside of, I didn't know that about Outdoor Life. And it's like rock slide. We have advertisers, but they have nothing to do with the reviews. They don't even talk to the reviewer outside of the factual based part of the product. So there is no pay to play on rock slide. So it's weird for me to talk to people that are paid to play, and they're like, well, I would review it, but you're going to have to, give us some money, which is odd.
Yeah, that is odd. And like, it would piss me off, because I enjoy the freedom of being able to review and cover stuff that I want to do. And I would get pissed if someone was like, oh, well, you can't cover that because they're not paying. And I mean, I'm not going to name names or point fingers or make fun of anybody's eyes, but there, like, that shit goes on.
It does,
and it's unfortunate, but that's a strict no-go for us. And I would, we'll be in touch, because I'm pretty eager to get my hands on one of those.
Yeah, it was funny. We just have a guy that became a freelance writer. He just pretty much wrote for us, and then he left and went, and he's been freelancing, which is fine. I don't, all of our writers are freelance writers, but he came back and he's like, do you know that companies pay to review their product? And I'm like, yeah, I do know that. And he's like, that's bullshit. I thought it was funny, because not everybody knows.
There's like publications that give awards to their guns or whatever product it is, based on, like, they sell those awards, so it's based on how much they're spending, which is why you get some of these fucking head scratchers. And in my opinion, it only contributes to, like, the ignorance of the base level. It's, well, so, such and such publication said this high 0.9 millimeter was the best pistol, on the market this year, for an example. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because they got this award. Well, it doesn't mean shit if it's not objective.
So when does the grizzly bear hunting happen?
Right now, man, it's actually we hunt on bait here in the interior, most of the area interior. Just where I hunt them, it's the only effective way to do it. And so I actually do have that bait out. And so over the next few weeks, we're going to be hunting pretty hard. And I got to squeeze in. I go into Utah to shoot an NRL hunter match early June, but basically, like I could be hunting through the end of June, depending on how much stuff dies and how quickly.
What are you using for bait?
My base, like my theories on dog food or on dog food on bear bait, you got to get like something to get them there, and then something to hold them. And the best option I use or most convenient, I'll buy dog food by the pallet, and then mix it with like old restaurant fry oil, and that kind of protects it from the moisture and whatnot. So that's like the food. And then when I'm like ice fishing for pike or something in the spring, I'll save the carcasses and just put them in a bucket with a bunch of water and rot them down real good. And sometimes like the one this year I have is going on 2 years, like of stuff. It's like a good sourdough
Oh shit.
of nastiness. So I'll pour that in a little 2.5 gallon bucket and like hoist it up in a tree. And then there's some other scents and stuff that sometimes I'll mess around with. I like, there's a company up here, Batum 907, makes a lot of bear bait supplies, but I worked with her on, well, I basically years ago, cause I used to use these, sow and heat, like aerosol spray things, bear bombs, but I don't know if they quit making them or the EPA banned them or what, but that shit worked really well. And so after we couldn't get those anymore, I approached her about like she makes a product that's like a kind of oil-based crystal that you spread around on the ground, and they get in their feet and hair and shit when they're rolling around next to the bait and track it off. And I asked her if she could like make me some of that stuff with like bear piss or sow and heat piss. And she did, and it seemed to work pretty damn well. And now it's like a real thing called it stripper glitter.
Stripper glitter. Well, shit.
So
Does it work for black bear and grizzly or just grizzlies?
Black bear was what I had it in mind for, but I can't say definitively that it works for grizzlies, but just because where I'm at, they're so random and really hit or miss, and timing is like the most important thing for getting into them. I'm sure it probably works for them, but definitely black bears, like that will get fresh boars coming in.
I just pictured,
as soon as you have critters or bears like starting to spread that shit out.
I just pictured a wife going onto her husband's computer after he listens to this podcast.
Stripper glitter.
Stripper glitter pops up as a
that's
search.
That's what's going in my phone right now. Nice.
What the fuck is stripper glitter?
Yeah.
Well, honey, I heard on this hunting podcast.
I wasn't looking at boobs. Nice.
Yeah, I sometimes I second guess. That was like, we were talking about what to call it, and that was like the sleaziest thing at the time, but it had to be kind of a sleazy name for that product because it works pretty good. Works almost as good as having a real sow running around.
Hey, so what are the rules up there for bear hunting for out-of-staters? How do we come up there and hunt with you?
You could come up and hunt black bears. You have to hire a outfitter, a registered guide to hunt grizzly bears as a non-resident, but black bears are good to go. You just gotta buy a locket tag and a license, or 2 or 3, depending on how many you want to kill in what area.
There is another way. You could marry me, Tyler, and then I could hunt bears up there.
This is the second time.
This is the second time
like
a man proposed to me.
So
you made the first game.
Yeah, you did say you reached out to rekindle your relationship.
Yeah, what were the balloons? Did you see that? What the fuck was that?
Friendship. Okay,
was that you?
I don't know. I didn't do it,
dude. It said when we were talking about gay.
I didn't touch anything.
These balloons popped up.
No, they didn't.
I swear to God, we go back.
They did.
Did you see them? Did you see the balloons, Tyler?
It's probably our.
I saw them. Yeah,
probably our guys out there
I saw
with us.
Oh, you fuck! Is Brad? Are you fucking with us?
That's funny shit.
Oh, that is funny. So, did you like on the bear thing? Is it the same thing? You got to fucking keep like in Idaho 200 yards from water or 200 feet from water, You can't shoot them at night. Blah blah blah.
No, there's actually there I mean there are rules, but you got to be like more than a quarter mile off of a road, have to be more than a mile away from a like cabin or dwelling or however the statute defines it. Basically a mile away from any buildings and but it doesn't get dark so there's no shooting light. In fact, with grizzly bears, a lot of grizzly bears all shoot like after midnight or I've had those stupid things come in 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning sometimes after sitting all night. It's kind of a pain in the ass.
Hmm.
And you guys have weird, like basically, if it's light enough to shoot them, you can shoot them, whether it's fucking midnight or fucking 2 in the morning.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. The grizzly I shot last year with that 6.5 was 3 o'clock, 3:30, 3:35, something like that in the morning.
Hmm.
And it gets pretty dusky, but yeah, if you can see them, you can blast them.
I was looking through your IG feed there, and you had a picture of a whole bunch of bear hides that have come in. You said it was like a fresh delivery. Are you a taxidermist? Do you just kill a shit ton of bears? Do you do it for friends? I mean, how do you come across that many bear hides?
I usually put up a couple, 2 or 3 bear hides for friends, a year, just like I'm all set up to flesh them. I've fleshed hundreds of those freaking things. And so I was like partially indentured servant to my taxidermist for a while. So he taught me how to do all that stuff. And, and so I do all my hides. A lot of those are mine. Mine, my kid got a bear last year. And so like usually, yeah, I would normally send if I'm doing mine and everybody's, like a dozen bear hides in a year or more, just to get tanned. I'm not a taxidermist, but it's all just easy enough just for me to prep them and then air cargo them wherever they got to go.
And then trapping and
But
whatnot.
I do kill a few bears.
You trap too? Do you sell furs or?
Yeah, I used to. I haven't trapped for a few years, basically since my kids showed up. And I've been a little more strapped for time, but I started taking them ice fishing, doing a bunch more ice fishing than trapping. But yeah, I'll get back into doing it here again one of these years when I say that. But it just been having to choose time how I use my time a lot more carefully the last few years.
You trapped a couple of really big links, didn't you, back in the day?
Yeah, I've caught quite a few links over the years. And yeah, lynx, a couple wolverines, a few wolves, marten. I've kind of always been an amateur recreational trapper, but man, it's a lot of fun.
What's the hardest one to trap?
Definitely, I would say wolves. Like they're smart, and just for the frustration factor of it, because unless you're in an area where they're moving around all the time, you got to keep your gear working until they come back. And sometimes, like the areas I would trap, you'd see a pack of them come through every 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks sometimes, and you got to have your shit ready for them. And if it's not, and it doesn't take much to go wrong either. So it can end up being just a big exercise in frustration. There are some guys that are really good at it, but they're not cheating it. They're putting in a ton of work to see that success.
How are you when you're baiting out there for bears? Do the grizzly bears are mixed in with the black bears? Do the grizzlies run the black bears off? Do you just never know what you're going to get, when you put your bait out, or how does that work?
Yeah, you kind of never know what you're going to get really. I don't know. It seems like there's more grizzlies around than when I first started doing it after I moved up here when I was a kid. And a lot of the older guys say that it used to always just be black bears. I don't know if that was because we actually have trail cameras now and we can see what all's coming in. Because you will get I'll get a lot more pictures of grizzlies than I'll ever see grizzlies in person. And if you didn't have a trail camera, you might just think it's all black bears. But yeah, it's a pretty good mix, and it's odd because even in the same general areas, I've had baits where one bait was just basically all grizzly bears, and for years and years and years. One year there was like 5, then it was all black bears, and then it was back to grizzlies. But you never really do know. the one that I've hung on to since I was a kid is a pretty good mix, like both grizzlies and black bears. Usually more grizzlies later in June, but yeah, you kind of just got to see what's there when you show up.
So I think the majority of guys would probably consider you underpowered for the rifle that you used to kill that grizzly we were just talking about, the 6.5 Creed. So it has me curious, what do you carry for a bear gun, a bear pistol?
If I'm carrying a pistol, it's a 10 mil. You know, I carried a 357 for a long time. I went through the phase of carrying like the big 480 Ruger revolver, and then realized that this is a fucking pain in the ass, and I just don't carry it because because it's a pain in the ass to carry around and do anything, and I'm not like impressing anybody out there by having this giant giant cannon that I shoot once a year. And so I have a couple different 10 millimeters that, and have been shooting and like testing a lot, pretty much all the new ones that come out that I can get my hands on. But and even, I mean, there's even an argument that's like, it's also not industry sanctioned, an argument for just a good 9 millimeter that you can shoot really well and run super hot cast or monolithic bullets in it too. You know, a pistol's just freaking better than nothing, basically. But they can't, you know, if you can shoot it well, like you got a pretty good chance.
Have you listened to the podcast that Forum put out on 22 mag for bears?
No, I haven't.
It's on Shoot to Hunt. Go look. It's a Forum Friday. It's 22 mag for bears. It's pretty interesting.
He's turned up some shit.
Yeah, I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah. Did you get more push? You know, I laugh because Steve West, he definitely was doing some clickbaiting on his little Instagram post or whatever fucking post. But he was going through all the reasons why the 6.5 Creedmoor, which absolutely smoked that grizzly you shot, wouldn't work. But I laugh in the fact that a few years before that, you fucking killed one with a stone point. But he has the goal to say there's not enough fucking energy in a 6.5 Creedmoor when you killed one with a fucking stone point. Can you take us through this?
Well,
go ahead.
I killed one with a stone point after killing, I mean, 4 or 5 of them with my recurve with regular, you know, modern steel broadheads. And then I killed one with my COVID project, one of those muzzle loader, like Kentucky rifle kits with a 50 caliber patched round ball, which is like the most anemic projectile like known to man. I mean, and that worked just fine on a grizzly.
It is. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, on a grizzly that was just as big as the one I killed with the 6.5. And yeah, like there's so many aspects to this. Well, and one of the things that's what I jumped in there, because he started, we posted the video and like a link to the story. And the story wasn't just about like, hey, you know, the 6.5 is the greatest bear gun ever, because it's not. But he goes in there, and so I'm like scratching at him, be like, oh well, you must not think archery equipment works. Oh, I would rather have a good broadhead, and that'll do better on a grizzly than a high powered fucking rifle. Like, are you kidding me?
Fucking ass.
You know, but people just and the whole story is about like people hear the word Creedmoor and they shut their brain off and just freak out. I mean, like, believe it or not, it's no 338 Lapua or any freaking Magnum, but you blow a hole the size of a baseball through an animal's lungs, they're going to die fast. Like, it doesn't, like you guys say, it doesn't, they don't care what you shot it with, but the damage is done. And
you could say that you're shooting with that partition, which one of the best partitions, if they could make a better BC partition, it'd be one of the, if not the greatest bullet, you know, across all speeds, across all platforms. But you could say that if you shot a CX bullet out of a whatever 300 and you shot a fucking 147 or even a 156 Burger out of that 6.5 Creed, that you're going to touch and damage more tissue with the match bullets, therefore a quicker death than you would with that copper bullet in a 300 of any size. So I think he just has an agenda.
No, that's the truth. And there in that partition, like Yeah, you have an agenda, but that partition upsets pretty good on the front end, and it's just funny watch because and I knew this would happen because all this story is like I predict like all the reactions that are gonna like show up, and then they like self manifest every time our editor posts that shit on Facebook. But it you get and then I get the oh well you had to shoot him 3 times. I see. I'm like, well, I would have had to shoot that bear at least another time, or I say had to. I didn't have to shoot him again. I would have shot him again with my 338 or my 375 Ruger, because that's what you do when bears are still on their feet and standing around, and neither one of those rifles would have dropped him on the spot. And despite the fact that the first shot blew through both lungs and he's literally spraying blood, like there was a huge like circle of blood that he's spraying as he's spinning around. And I just let, if they're still up and moving, like I'm going to shoot him again. The thing literally was on the ground dead before, like sucking chest wound before the echo from the first shot subsided.
Yeah,
Is it on
He went
video?
like 7
Is it on
yards.
video?
Oh yeah, you were racking that fucking.
Yeah, it's on video.
Well, when they edit this YouTube video, we'll throw up a little link to your video then.
We'll put it in there. You know what's funny, Tyler, about that is when you have a big magnum and X animal, whatever animal, and it takes 2 or 3 or 4 shots, whatever, they say, oh, fuck, that animal is tough. But when you shoot it with a little gun and it's the same fucking result, you're like, wasn't enough gun. It's just fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
It is. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, and people's like how they set their expectations for how they think stuff should die. Like you shoot a big grizzly bear. Like if I would have shot that same first shot, which I'm like on a bear, I'm always shooting for like a double lung first shot right through the middle of the lungs. I don't like believe in this shooting them in the shoulder shit, because you freaking lose bears that way. But with my 375, I would have at least shot him. I probably wouldn't have shot him 3 times because I wouldn't have been able to rip that bolt and shoot him again the 3rd time, before he either fell down or whatever. But like that, freaking who cares? Like they're dead. They're not going far. I don't care. They're not that tough. You shoot them, even if that bear had taken off, like my muzzleloader bear took off at a dead sprint and made it 100 yards. And the same amount of time, just a few seconds, and then they're out of gas. It was Winchester XPR, and I use that one just because that's like my loner, my death rifle. Mm-hmm. That thing that I've killed a couple sheep with it, but that thing's killed like 6 sheep, a dozen caribou, a moose, 1 or 2 black bears. Like it's killed some serious shit, but that's my rifle that I'll just like loan out to people if they need a rifle for their wife or whatever.
You gotta drive far from your place to hunt caribou?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the tag. Some, there's a hunt that kind of turns into a zoo that I usually don't do, but there's some opportunities where, like a couple of years ago, the season stayed open late, and I just took my kid up when he was 6 and shot a bull and back the same day. So there are some opportunities, but it's not super consistent.
So you kill a lot of bears. What is your absolute favorite way to eat a bear?
Fish got to eat too. No, actually, I've tried grizzly bear, and that stuff is like freaking not even dog food. It's nasty. The stuff I've tried is nasty, and I've tried a couple different bears, but I like black bear. If they haven't been into anything or the meat doesn't stink. I make a lot of summer sausage and breakfast sausage with it. If I'm actually I never say to myself, man, I feel like a bear steak right now, but I do like, I have in the past, like kept roast, or I've got a big butcher saw that was my grandpa's that sometimes I'll freeze quarters and like knock them up into roasts, and like making corned beef out of them. Corned bear meat is pretty good.
Huh. I know like
most of it,
other guys that are, pretty much they're in it for meat, and all three of them killed a grizzly bear in the last 10 years. And a couple of years later, I said, what'd you do with that grizzly bear? You like to eat it. And he's like, yeah, I didn't eat that fucking grizzly bear. He said, I couldn't even stand the smell of the fucking grizzly bear. Is it that bad?
Yeah. That's, it can be pretty bad. Yeah, and they're just nasty freaking animals, man. Like most black bears are, they'll mix it up, but grizzly bears they're just nasty. They stink. They eat a lot of rotten stuff. I mean, a lot of the boars, like the boar I killed last year and the one I killed with my muzzle loader, that thing had all kinds of like big cuts and scars and pus and infections. And, it's just not like, dude, when I got a freezer full, I'm creating more meat on the landscape by saving a few moose calves every year by killing this nasty animal. And
that's a good way to say it.
Then, and exponentially so eventually, but, like I got a freezer full of moose meat, man. Like, and I'm saving some moose by killing this grizzly bear, so I don't feel bad at all about dumping them. Like, if I get one that smells good, yeah, I'll try it again. But they're pretty rank. Which the one I killed with the 6.5 was a much bigger bear than I thought he was, and it just made me think of like I thought initially my first thought was like, holy shit, he's dead right there. I'll get him in the boat hole, and I could hardly move him like 10 feet for pictures. But I had to skin him, and then I had to quarter him and like haul the quarter because I didn't want to leave the carcass there. This stuff starts rotting. It like fouls up the black bears. And so I had to drag all the quarters over to the river, then make another trip for the carcass and get it over to the river, and then another trip for the hide. But fortunately, it's not that far.
Have you shot very many goats?
I've only shot 3 goats.
Well, it's a good question.
It's fun, but it's not sheep hunting.
So you have the whole cornucopia of Alaskan animals. What is your preferred meat? What do you favor?
I used to would definitely swear sheep, and sheep is excellent, but man, it's between Dall sheep, black bear, or not black bear. That's down low. Dall sheep, black-tailed deer, and moose. But I eat a lot of moose, and I like that butcher saw, man. We'll let that stuff hang. And I got to where I don't debone shit in the field for moose. Like our camp, I can bring a Sawzall and a 4-wheeler and call them into where we can get the 4-wheeler to them. And I'll bring out the backbone hole and cut like 1.5 inch thick T-bone steaks. I can get like about 26 of them out of a bull. So
26 out of a bull.
It's hard to say that that's not my favorite.
I'm just excited he said he could pull the quad up to the fucking moose.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Gator don't play no shit when it comes to packing moose around.
So dude, you have got to take a 108 and go fucking smoke a grizzly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I might do that because I do have this. Yeah. Well, I have this. So it's the shooting this NRL. I got this 6 Creed for this NRL hunter match in Utah, which that's a media event, and I'm going to have to give that rifle back then. But I'm almost like deciding that this rock stock build needs to be a 6 Creed.
Very
I'll
easy.
shoot a moose with that thing too. I don't care.
Oh fuck!
I don't care.
If you really want to, if you're worried about a 108, go buy some 115 nose ring D-Tacs, and you'll murk everything up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you don't get the expansion.
Nice.
It shears off.
Well, I was telling you, I've been shooting. Yeah. Well, I was telling you that and for even a freaking moose's rib cage, like, is not that. It's not so substantial that a bullet going for 2,800, whatever, that bullet is not going to blow through there and just completely wreck shit. It's just not, that's not a real thing. They're not made of concrete. And, but I've been shooting and messing around loading some of the Lehigh Defense controlled chaos and controlled fracturing bullets. And I mean, I have a pretty small sample size, but my kid's Blackberry shot with a 350 Legend last year fucking wrecked that bear. And they're just like a monolithic hollow point with a big cavity, and they get inside the body cavity and just freaking explode and pedal off. And then the bases on everything I've shot with, the bases have gone all the way through. But that black bear, I gave some guy one of my old teachers actually some 375 Ruger with 270s, and he shot a brown bear, and they shot 2 moose with them, and said it just freaking sacked everything they shot with it. And I shot my moose last year. I loaded them up in a 300 H&H that was my uncle's and my grandpa's before his, just for shits and grins, and big surprise it worked. But
Yeah.
but no, I'm down. I'm down for that. I was already planning on shooting a 6.5 just to piss people off. So a 6 would be even better.
Let's just keep going lower.
Dude, a 6, it's unbelievable. Like I literally, if you listen to these podcasts, you'll hear this theme over and over again. Is you know me from before, Tyler, and I was big 338s, big 300s, and then reading,
you were.
reading on Rockslide forum, and then watching Jim's daughters just kill everything with 108s on everything on elk out to 800 yards, and it's devastating wound channels. I was like, we are literally chasing our tail. So I'd love to see what happens.
Yeah, no, and that was a shocker to me. Yeah, when I talked to you, I told you, I was like, man, weren't you? I remember you like on the. I don't think 7mm bullets kill elk as good as 30 cal and 33.
7mm are still gay as 8.
But like the point is, we all learned, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you can see something like that happen and be open enough in your way of thinking to be like, you know what, maybe I've been wrong about this, or maybe the way I've been doing things or the way I've been thinking isn't quite correct. So it's like with that fucking nodes and load development story I did. I'm like, yeah, I heard that, like, you know, Hornady, when they put out their info about like their testing and seeing that a lot of these things that we thought mattered so much might not matter that much. And I went and saw it for myself. I'm like, yeah, maybe I have been, I want, if I'm could be doing things better or more efficiently for myself, like I want to know so I don't have to waste my time anymore. You know, people that are willing to learn, like, are much more well, maybe not much more entertaining, but they're much more pleasant to interact with and be around.
Yeah. Bustin' Fudlore is also fun. So
Oh, it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
there's lots of half-minute rifles out
I
there
think
if
in
you
that-
shoot enough 3-shot groups.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like, but in like, I've also been trying different guns, shooting like aggregates of 3-shot and 5-shot groups to see if there really is any difference in the 20-shot totals. And so far there is not much difference, not within like the variability that you'll even see. Cause even 20-shot groups, like you'll see some variability. You know, you can go 30 or 40 or, you know, 30, 35, 50 and get more consistent, you know, a little bit better data. But, yeah, it's just opened up a freaking bunch of wormholes that I can't help but indulge.
Mm-hmm. Well, we took you to an hour, even with the technical difficulties. So we appreciate you coming on. We do have to give away some rings. I'm sure they gave us some fucking great names. We give away rings on every podcast, and they come up with the most fucked up name they can possibly find for us to try to say. Yeah, Rhett sent me one. It's all right. If this is your name, you want a set of rings, either Tika or Premier rings, and it's Zach Grosskopf. Zach Grosskopf. Is that
Grosskopf.
Yep. Grosskopf. Get a hold of us. Podcast at shoottohunt.com. You want a set of rings. Tyler, in parting, do you want to put out some wisdom? Want to talk some shit? What is the biggest piece of shit you've ever reviewed?
The biggest piece of shit I've ever reviewed.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, there was one recently that I gave another chance, and actually like I gave him a chance to send me a different one, and it was better. So I guess that particular rifle was a piece of shit. That Hammerly straight pull rifle, that little 22.
What's the
not to say that I don't think the
Hammerly.
design is a piece of shit or anything, or the rifle in general, but the particular Hammerly, it's under Walther. The particular one I got right off the bat, which I'm gonna probably catch some shit for this, but that's okay. It's just being honest. The first sample I got, like I could watch the bullets like curve out off the paper at 50 yards as I'm shooting.
Throwing bullets.
So there was obviously like a major problem with that barrel. Yeah, I was like watching these little subsonic bullets like go veering off into outer space. but I did end up, to be fair, I told them about that and sent that one back, and they sent me a different one, and it shot pretty well. I do like the design, so I don't know, it's maybe not the best example.
I thought you were going to say
I wonder if I got any real
Stormfront.
good ones. I don't know. Oh, the sickest Stormfront. Yeah, that's legit. That stuff's terrible.
Oh, that's fucking funny.
I kind of flopped on that one. So the Hammerly's okay. I just had that first sample I got was pretty rough. But the sickest Stormfront. I don't know. Usually stuff maybe it's just because usually anything that shows up that I'm like, yeah, this is a real piece of shit. It never makes it anywhere, and I forget about it too quick.
Yes. It's like I tell the person, I'm not reviewing this because you're not going to like the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we'll have to Jake will have to get your deets after the podcast.
And there's been a few of those. So,
and just email me your info, would you? support@unknownmunitions.com.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
And we can talk about a rifle.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right, Tyler, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Nice to meet you.